Hello, we're here with Adam, the esports director of Brewton-Parker College. He's going to talk to us about his esports program. Adam, thank you so much for being here and to accept this invitation. And I'm very excited to know more about your program and for the students also to get a grasp of it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Any chance I can get to talk about our program and talk about esports, I'm happy to do it.
Nice, nice. So, as a brief introduction, how did the program start? What year? What were their beginnings?
Yeah, so we started in 2019, and the program was really successful locally. I came in. This is the finishing my second academic year, with this idea of let's elevate it to a more competitive level. And so this past academic year, we had higher ranked players in our program, and we saw a lot of success, specifically with Rocket League this year.
Nice. So, talking about the teams you have, what teams do you currently have?
Yeah, so we have this year we've had a Madden program, a Smash Brothers program, and a Rocket League program. And 18 students were in our program. Next year, because we've seen such success this past year, not just competitively but academically and socially, and all of physically, like all of the areas of what a program should be. The school gave us more freedom for more titles and more scholarships, and so we're expanding next year into League of Legends and Valorant. We have hopefulness for iRacing at some point. We're looking for recruits for that, but also the sports titles. We're adding FIFA and 2K along with that.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And also, take us a bit of a day to day of a student athlete in your program, like class schedule, then the practice or even the tournament schedule. How would it look like?
Yeah, that's great. So it'll depend on the game title. For instance, a general outline of what our weekly schedule would be is we have afternoon practices after their coursework in the mornings, and after lunch they'll come into our esports arena here, and we'll practice from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Depending on the game, that's going to look different, but we section it out in 20-minute or 30-minute increments, and based on skills and drills, but also video reviews, self-reflection. We do a lot of journaling on our performances, and then we do team play for a bit after that. And then the evenings are dedicated towards either competitions or scrimmages, and we do those 4 nights a week. The part of the package, though, is twice a week we do a physical activity, whether it's weightlifting or cardio or playing football out in the yard. We do something to incorporate physical activity. We also have required study sessions as a part of that. And so we mix in study sessions. Many of our guys have found it easy to take the same classes because it's so much simpler on their schedules. And so, we have these sort of requirements for their GPAs, as well as expectations for them competitive. So
Nice.
we're looking at about 20 hours a week for their all involvement in our
Nice.
program.
So, what would happen? This is more like something that the parents always want to know. What would happen if, for example, a player is it's like in his classes? Like, what would you like take him out of practice, reduce his practice hours to more study hours? How would you, or
Yeah.
how do you handle these situations?
Yeah, that's a great one. It happens. It certainly does. For instance, this past semester, there were a few of our students who were not meeting their expectations. And so, in that 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock window, in which we would normally be doing drills or playing, they were required to study and to catch up on their work. And so, we actually found that to be really successful. So much that we were the second highest GPA on our campus for as far as team sports go. Volleyball beat us, but we're going to get them next time. And so, but as far as male sport, we're co-ed, but we have all males in our program. We were the top male team on campus for our GPA. So yeah, we take that very seriously. That's their primary reason for being on our campus, and I have no problems in sitting students from competitions or from practices or from team events if they're not meeting those expectations.
Nice. And you mentioned before, like the students have like similar classes because it's easier for them. Like, for example, in the dorm situation, like, would you match the same students from the team, not even the team, but like from the same program, so they can have like similar class schedules and similar schedules, practice and class schedules? Do you do that as well?
That's right. Yeah. So we call it team housing. And the idea there is that there's similar interests, similar schedules, and we want them to be comfortable where they're at. And so actually, as an institution policy, incoming freshmen are matched with their team sports. And so I found that to be really successful. We want our guys waking up at similar times. If they were rooming with, let's say, a soccer player or a weightlifting athlete, they might be getting up at 5 or 6 a.m. when our esports athletes are not required to. And so it causes a little confusion in their daily routines. And we found it easier just to simplify
it. Yeah, of course. And also, like, so how many credits do students usually get, like, do it like every semester?
Yes, so we require a minimum of 12 course credits, which is 4 classes on average. But the unique thing about esports is that we don't have to travel. And much of our competitions are online, as everyone knows. And so that gives us more hours in the week to be more productive. And so I actually encourage all of my esports students to take 15 hours, especially if they're able to. And there may be some situations they're not able to. It's harder classes, maybe upper level coursework, those sorts of things. But I found 15 hours to be the kind of standard that we've set. Now, students are able to make those choices on their own, but we certainly ask them to push themselves. So 15 hours is our goal.
Great. And also, like, mentioning the credits part, like, does the esports program, like, you or the person responsible for talking with the teachers there, like, do you have like good communication? Because sometimes they have a competition when they have a presentation or an exam. Like, if you ask in advance, is it very flexible? Like, do teachers understand that the students have to compete and represent the university? Like, how does this work?
That's a great question. So the answer is absolutely yes. We are a very small school. We have about 1,000 students in our school, and so, in fact, the majority of which participate in a team sport. And so, yes, our professors are very aware of the demands of an athlete's life. And so, one of the unique things about being so small is that our professors know our students on a personal level, so much so that I've heard stories about maybe a student is cutting class and not showing up. Well, I've learned that some professors will actually go knock on their door and say, "Hey, where were you today at 8 p.m. Or 8 a.m. or whatever it is?" And so that's a unique feature about where we're at. Oftentimes, professors will share their cell phone numbers and will text students on those sorts of things. So we're very flexible with the requirements, and part of my job is to make sure that those communications are handled well on what we're asking our students to do athletically, but also academically.
Nice. Also, like, for parents, like, talking from a international student perspective, like going to another continent and knowing they're gonna be like in a small school, like where teachers and and the people working in the university will like take care of them is a huge relief for the parents. So that's an amazing, like that they're not just a number,
Right.
like they know. And also for the academics is because I also went to a small school when I went to the States, and it's very good. Like any issues or questions you have in a class, like
Right.
if, if you want to solve it, if you want to get a good grade, like and the teachers will help you.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we recognize who we are, and we flat out, we're a small school and a small town, and what we lack in resources or facilities, we are going to make up for in our relationships with our students, and we find that to be our cornerstone of who we are.
Nice, nice. And how was like, no, because you weren't in the beginnings of the program, but like, how did the school react when the esports program was proposed? Or every year when you go to the to the administration and talk about like all the initiatives you're gonna take, like how did they take it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that, I mean, this is one of the reasons I actually came to Brewton-Parker, is because the administration saw it as a legitimate athletic endeavor. And so, I don't, there are some places who might say, okay, here's a computer lab, go, have fun and go play. But I coached basketball for 12 years, and it would have been a shame if I had just rolled out a basketball and said, "Hey guys, good luck at practice today. I'll be over here if you need me." Um, the unique thing about sports and esports is, and I'll say this, it's kind of complicated, but I believe it. It's all fake. It's all fake. In basketball, when the ball goes through the iron rim, we put 2 points on the board, and it's imaginary. Nothing happened in the world. Nothing changed in the world. But we recognize that deep down, it took something to accomplish that. It took hard work. It took teamwork. It took perseverance. It took, all of those virtues that humanity needs. That's why we celebrate when the ball goes through. Well, the same is true for esports. It's all fake, but it's what it takes to accomplish those things that's valuable to us. And so the administration here knows that and recognizes that. That's why we have an arena. That's why we support it. That's why it's under the umbrella of our athletics department. And that's one of the reasons that I came here, because they saw it not as secondary or something that was just fun for students to do, but an actual student development experience.
Do you think in the near future, like esports in college would be like will gain such a status that they're gonna separate the athletic department with an esports department? Because there is quite a few video games, and every video game requires their thing. So like I know for now at first, it's very very new, and it's one sport more. But like, what are your thoughts of like in the near future separating esports department with an athletic department?
Yeah, so I can speak to that a bit. I don't know what will happen, but I have predictions. Firstly, researchers will tell us that in North America, 86% of all females from 12 to 29 years old consider themselves gamers, and 98% of males from 12 to 29 years old consider themselves gamers. And so we have a very large amount of students who are gaming, who are interested in esports, who are probably doing it for social reasons more than anything. And so the trend that I see happening is for esports to continue to move in that direction, and for more institutions to give guidelines and support and structure to the gaming experience. I don't necessarily think that esports should be under athletics. I don't necessarily think it should be under student activities or IT or communications. There's all these different formulas out there, but I do absolutely believe, because of the demographics, that more and more universities are going to implement some kind of structure towards this esport thing. It's going to take more people like you who are pushing this and legitimizing it and making it a reality for so many of these students who are already doing it.
That's nice. Yeah, because from our what we see from the outside, meaning outside the states, is like many universities are adopting esports as how they view it, in, as you said, in the IT department, as a recreational activity, as an athletic, like there's not like there's not a clear structure, like in athletics, like soccer or basketball isn't
Right.
athletics, like esports is somewhere there in the university. So like, but I guess in the near future where like esport programs start to like actually like, because as you said, like there's a lot of gamers,
Right.
you just need an esport program, a place for those gamers to go develop or have fun, depending on their objectives, but be there, So and that is happening bit by bit. I'm seeing like the growth from when we started to now. Like there's been massive growth, and people like you are working very hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can tell.
Thank you.
Yes, and also, what are your objectives for fall 2023?
Yeah. So I could take that a lot of different ways. We have competitive objectives, we have GPA objectives, we have team experience objectives. Our competitive objectives is primarily we want to make the playoffs in every single game title, and we compete in multiple different leagues. But when we sign up for a competition, that's our goal. Is we want to make the playoffs. And now there might be independent objectives depending on the teams. Making CRL for Rocket League, or making playoffs in CRL, or making Worlds. There might be different goals set. But as a program wide, we want to make the playoffs. Our GPA objectives, we were the highest GPA on our campus for a male sport, and we want to continue to hold that as an objective, and
Beat volleyball.
and be but yeah, that's one objective for our GPA, and we take that very seriously. And then our program objectives, and I consider this my job, is primarily their experience. We want them to have a good experience. We want them to have fun. We want them to enjoy one another. We want them to build good relationships with everyone involved. Now that's a hard one for me because I don't. We can quantify that, in different ways. But the reality is I won't really know what my program does for students until 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. What kind of husbands are they, or fathers, or employers, or employees? That is the real picture of what my program should be producing. And it's because I want them to be hard workers and to have goals and to be driven, but also have patience and work as a teammate and work through conflict. And those are the real value of what esports is. The reality is that winning games and losing games is fun, but that's not why we're doing it. We're doing it to develop human people. And so that's the harder one, but that's what we want.
Yeah. Also, like with what you just said, the developing of people. What are you when you have an interview with a student you're very interested in? What are the soft skills you're looking for? In a player. In those 4 years that you could potentially have him on the team. What are you looking for?
Absolutely. So I want to know if somebody is willing to grow. If somebody comes in and says, well, I'm an expert in League of Legends, and I know what's best because I've been the highest ranked. Well, automatically, I don't know that there's anything I can offer that person because they already know it all. And so I'm looking for somebody who has humility, somebody who is willing to grow, willing to learn, but also willing to share and admit when they're wrong. So many we spend thousands of hours together. We need to know who these people are at a deeply personal level before we agree to having them and inviting them into our space. And so we need to, chemistry is important. Interpersonal communication is important. Communication within the game is important. The reality that esports is a little bit different than traditional sports, because in traditional sports, a lot of the recruiting is done by self-evaluation, like with your eyeballs, evaluating what they can do or what they can't do. Esports is a little bit different in that that's all digitized. It's already there on where students are ranked and how they've performed over their time. And so that's less important when we recruit. What's more important is what kind of people are they and what can they offer us as a collective.
Yeah. Also, what you said about recruiting, like esports, like all the stats are there, and everything, all the tournaments to play. Like for example, like for tennis players or soccer players, they could have like played in this division, but in this team, and maybe they ranked it in some way competing in their home country, but then in at the university level, they they don't compete the same. So coaches sometimes are investing an amount of scholarship that is not worth it, or most of the time, yes, but like there's some cases, with
Right.
this sport, it's all like more transparent as well.
Yeah,
So so it's good for that.
that's exactly
So
right. It's already there. We can see the numbers. We can see what it looks like, and so that's less confusing than who is this person and what can they do for our program and our interactions. We spend a lot of time together. We need to know who they are.
nice. Also, like just to wrap it up, just one last thing, like for the academic side of esports, like do you offer, or are you looking to offer, maybe I'm not saying a bachelor's degree, but like a certificate or a form of master's degree? Are you potentially looking for that, or
So we've discussed that, and I've kind of made that pitch to our academic department. With our growth, we're seeing a lot of applicants come our way who have an interest in esports. There's nothing on the horizon yet, but we have a new program coming in under exercise and sports science, sport management, and so there might be an opportunity there for us to have esports specific courses that go along with it. Now, maybe future down the line, some sort of esport management or something might be possible, but nothing on the horizon quite yet.
yeah, I think it's the best thing to start like implementing it as a class or as an elective or as a certificate, and from there see, because
That's right.
it takes resources, to
That's
make
right.
up. No, but it's the best way.
Good.
Thanks.
Good.
Okay, Adam. I think everything was clear stated. I've stated like the questions that usually the players ask,
Yeah.
and uh, I just want to thank you for being here, and I hope to have you soon in the next interview.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. And any excuse I can have to talk about my players, talk about my program, I'm happy to do it. So thank you for having me.
Okay, Adam. Hi, thank you.